Hey guys, it's Karsh here. So today in this video, I'm going to cover a topic that we frequently hear from customers. It's like, how do I prevent students from checking in from home? So let's pretend that I have a class here called US Law 101, and this is an in-person class. I don't want anyone checking in from home, or maybe a student from taking the QR code and sending it over to their friends, and that kind of just, prevents people from checking in from underneath the bridge all the way to like their house or like just off campus anywhere, right? So for that, we have location restriction, and we also have time restriction. So that way, like, students are not checking in anytime during the day as well. So to get that to work, you want to first create a list here, and then you want to hit the share button, and you want to hit the share check-in link button. And this will give you the link that students can use to check in, and they can also scan this QR code. So you can always like print this QR code, copy it, put it into a PDF, put in some more instructions, and yeah, or just download that from right there. So this is what the students would see, right? And it says waiting for your browser location, so it's getting that location right now. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go to the settings page, and we'll say check-in restrictions enabled, and we'll say location restriction first. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go ahead and put the check-in restriction as, for example, like let's just say University of or let's just say, for example, University of Dallas, for example. Okay, so we go over here, and then we basically put the location restriction on this, like on this campus right now, and we hit save. And what will happen is that this is on my iPhone on the right hand side. As soon as the student goes in there and scans the QR code, this is what the student would see. So they would go over there, and then it would say, hey, you're outside the check-in restriction. And keep in mind, like the location is coming from the device on the iPhone. So I was just having a discussion with the professor about this. So if you're doing this on campus, so let's just say if you're doing this on a computer, the restriction, the location is not very accurate because it has to use Wi-Fi to figure out where it's at. So keep in mind that you should probably add in a little bit of leniency here. You should make it a little bit generous, and you can adjust the location size by clicking on the plus and the minus button, and you can always drag the marker and then be like, okay, I only want to cover this part. So be a little bit flexible, probably cover the entire campus area if it's being done on a computer. If it's being done on a cell phone, I would say probably 2 or 3 buildings should be good enough. Because the way that the location works on the iPhone, there's 2 different ways. One of them is that if you're using the web page, it doesn't have as precise of a location as our visitor app because it's not a native app. So what would happen here is like the GPS is first it tries to use location from the Wi-Fi, then it will try the cell phone towers, then it will actually try the actual GPS device hardware. So it does take a little bit of time for the location to get more granular. So for example, like first it might show the location as like maybe being over here, because that's where the university Wi-Fi routers are being, like have signals from. Then you might have, for example, like just based on like how network and everything works. Then you might have like, for example, the location dot kind of getting closer into the circle when it goes, okay, I know from a cell phone tower, I'm kind of in this vicinity. Then once it gets the GPS, it might literally go, hey, I'm inside this building, because the GPS is way more accurate. So there's 2 different ways to do check-ins on the visitor side. You can obviously go to the website. They can scan the QR code and end up on the web page here. Or they can open up the OneTap visitor app, which they can download from the App Store. So if you type in OneTap visitor, and they download this app, and what they can do is they can scan this right here, and they can just continue with the whole check-in process. So this location is a lot more accurate because now we're using like an actual mobile app here. We're not using the web browser to do this. So it takes a little bit of time to get the location, and it will actually tell you, hey, you're outside the check-in radius, because the radius is over here. As you can see, the radius is right here, but looks like you're somewhere else. So so they can, once they get in the location, then they can check in. Now let's look at how the time restriction works. So I disable the location restriction, and I say, okay, I want to allow check-ins between 7 a.m. and let's just say like 7:15 a.m. because that's like a very common thing that professors will do. So what will happen is that if we go back and we scan this QR code, or I guess in the visitor app, it will automatically say, hey, you've tried to check in on these lists. So if we go ahead and scan it, it's going to say getting location, and the location is going to pass, and it will say you're outside the restricted time period because the time check-ins are only allowed between 7 a.m. and 7:15 a.m. So those are two different ways where you can restrict check-ins based on location and based on time. I will make another video about how we do have a beta feature where you can restrict check-ins based on IP address, and I'll be sharing that very, very soon.